Hello, this is a video to show you the difference between two different smartboard software, Mythware and ActivInspire. ActivInspire, I've downloaded a free version to show you what it can do. I've used it in the past quite a lot and think it's great. Mythware is the software that we're looking at buying, and I'd like to show why I recommend ActivInspire instead of Mythware. To begin with, I'll show you the lesson that I've made on ActivInspire so I can show you what I think an interactive lesson should be like. And then I'll show you how I tried to create that on Mythware. So first of all, I've got a tool to start the lesson. I can use the spotlight tool. Students can drag this around. It just makes it a little bit more interesting and guess what the topic of the lesson is. When they've guessed, I can reveal it is space. In this lesson, we're going to do some speaking, listening, vocabulary, and more speaking, which will be a big discussion at the end. First of all, I can check who knows the name of the planets in the solar system and reveal them quite quickly like this. Let's see who are the star students and know all the planets. Then we come to this page, and I've fixed these question stems, but the endings are movable. So I'll begin with them all mixed up, and students have to work out which questions grammatically make sense. Once they've done that, they can sit down and ask their partner the questions. What would you do if you were given a one-way ticket to live on another planet? And that's kind of what the topic of the lesson will be. So I'll show them this project called Mars 1, and I can take them to an introductory video about it. The software links directly to websites, so I can take them straight to a YouTube video which tells them all about the Mars 1 project. So they watch that and listen to that, and I give them a worksheet with some questions to complete while they're listening, and the answers are all numbers, so it's listening for key information. Here are the answers. So they find out about Mars 1, and then we check the answers as a class, and I can give points for each one that they get correct. The first team to land on Mars will win the game. Then we can move on to vocabulary. So here we're going to talk about pronunciation. This is a word which is in the video they just watched, and in a minute I'll give them this worksheet with more vocabulary from that same video. Some nice, interesting vocabulary for them to check. Learn the meaning and pronunciation of. So the red dot is word stress. Imagination, we want to put it here. And this is not teacher-led. I could be sitting down in a corner and the students could decide together which one's correct. Usually as a class, they'll find the right answer together. And then I can just confirm it with them. How many syllables? Imagination. Okay, there's 5, and this one's stressed. We can represent it with these dots. Listen to the video again and mark the word stress on the vocabulary when you hear it. So they can do that on their worksheet. Then to check, I'll have all the vocabulary hidden in this bubble, which our rover is thinking about. Then they can take out some vocabulary and take dots to mark the stress. They could do this maybe in 2 teams, make it a little bit competitive, so it's more fun. And aerospace, work it out. When they finish, the board will be covered in all the vocabulary with the pronunciation marked, and they can check it on their worksheet. Okay, so some more meaning of the vocabulary. I would like to use this game called Kahoot. It's free to create an account, which I did already. So here's my account, I'm Miss L Vietnam, and here's my Mars 1 vocabulary game. I can create as many games as I like for free using Kahoot. If we play the game, the students join on their smartphones, and we play live as a whole class. So the questions and the answers will be on the board, and on their phones they just see the colors and shapes to choose the correct one. And they can have nicknames and get scores, and there's a time limit. As they choose the correct answer on their phone, it will go up here. So that's Kahoot, and this it doesn't fit inside here, but it's quite quick and easy to put a picture of it on this software. Okay, here's the speaking part. This takes us again to the Mars One website, where they've got the criteria that they use to apply for the Mars One project. I think the internet's being slow, but you can see it's linking. Here we go. The key characteristics of an astronaut. So I thought this is very nice vocabulary. Why not get the students to work it out so they can discuss in their groups, first of all, what they think the criteria is, and maybe we could make some notes on the board, like maybe they should be over 18, maybe they should have to be smart, and then they can get the worksheet and match the meaning of the characteristic to what describes it, and check using the website. So we're moving very quickly. This is blended teaching. We're moving between paper, internet, using technology in a way that works well, that's interesting. Then there's videos of some of the candidates. They can choose the best. Just watch 3 videos, choose the best and say why. And the last part of the lesson is a big speaking task. Find out who is the most resilient, adaptable, curious, trustworthy and creative. To put them in teams, I can use a team picker website. I did it already here, so go away. Here are some teams. I've given them planet names and put some of us into teams ready to do this challenge. The challenge is thinking about different survival items. What is most important if you find yourself on a planet? So a mirror, an axe, first aid kit. There are actually more than this, but I just put pictures of the more difficult, strange vocabulary like rope and axe. But they will all know what maps are, a gun, vodka. I won't explain how this game works, it's a bit complicated, but it's about getting a score and finding out how well you work in a team. There are expert answers, so we use those, and there's explanations of why it's a bad idea to have vodka on a planet, or a bad idea to have a gun, and a good idea to have water and food, and a mirror as surprisingly useful. So they play this and they get a score. The worse, higher the number, the worse the score, and a 0 is the best score you could get. Then I've got a complicated Excel spreadsheet where you get a team score. And if your team did really badly, so you got like 90, you get a bad team score. But if your team did well, you get a good team score. So I can then talk to them about teamwork and group dynamics and leadership, critical thinking, and all of these things. And we can see who wins and gets to go to Mars. That's the whole lesson. So I tried to make it on Mythware, and you can see the problems that I've had. Just to import a picture is more complicated. I can't copy and paste anything. I can't move it. I can't change the size of it. Okay, if I want to put text on my picture, I use the text button, and I want to do the beginning of a question, like have you ever? I don't like the color, so I can change that quite easily. But I don't like where it's sitting. I need to move it. Oh, I can't. I moved the whole picture. Okay, maybe I can use this. Yes, I can do that. Good. But maybe I put it there, and then I want to move this. Oh, it takes everything with it. So it begins to become a mess. Okay, that means I can't play this game quite so well. What can I do instead? Maybe no picture and just put it as text. They can draw lines to match. Okay, so I come to the pencil brush and let's choose a bright color. We can match the beginnings and ends. You can see a little sad face when I discovered that if I do this and then I want to move something, it's like this, and there's no undo. I'm looking for an undo button, I can't find one. Control Z doesn't work. There's no right mouse click. There's no cut, copy, paste. When you make a mistake, you are stuck with it. So let's just say maybe I spent 10 minutes making something like this, and then I wanted to change something. It's pretty difficult. And let's say I make a spelling mistake. Jupiter. Oh, that's not how you spell Jupiter. Can I click it? Can I edit it? No. No, I cannot. So there's no undo button, no way to correct a mistake. So for a teacher who's only got, limited time to make and design their lessons, this is going to slow them down. And this is not doing anything more than you can do with a whiteboard and pens. You can see I've played around, I've tried to see what it can do. And every time I've just ended up with a mess that I can't fix. One more thing, with this I've got one file here, so I just open one file and all my lesson is there. But with Mythware there's no quick way to save a file, it just saves page by page at the bottom under here. Yeah, you can put in quizzes and you can make that work with their tablets, but I can do that with Kahoot and their smartphones anyway. And I've got about 10 different websites where I can make free accounts and do different types of quizzes or group activities. So this is actually more limiting in what it can do. Overall, not happy with Mythware, not at all. I hope that this shows you what I'd like to be able to do and what an interactive smartboard should be able to do. And this is just one example. You can also add animations, scoring team points. This one I made for kids, they love it. You could do games which jump between pages. So this is a kind of game where if they get a question right, they get money, but they could get a bomb. So they have to be careful. So the students choose like number 15 and they answer a grammar question or a vocabulary question. Here it's a listening one, so they listen to a word and they have to get the answer, and they could win money or they could get a bomb and lose all their points. I keep score here of who's winning the most money and who's losing all their money. It's a great Friday afternoon lesson. It takes about an hour and it revises all different kinds of skills and grammar and vocabulary. This is showing how it can do so much more than a whiteboard can. Whereas this is just showing how it really is not doing anything more than a whiteboard, and actually it's more difficult to use than a whiteboard. Thank you.